In this time of uncertainty, it can be easy to get into a negative mindset. This next guest has helpful information on how you can frame your thinking.
She is a world renowned innovation expert, helping so many folks with hands on leadership in the field, producing leaders, unleashing creative potential, and really just wrapping their minds around things that are possible. We're joined today by Susan Robertson, an innovation strategist. Susan, it's great to see you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Looking forward to talking to you. I asked you a question before we got started this morning about what negativity bias really is and wrapping your mind around that. Today, you're helping us with overcoming negative bias. Let's start by defining what this is.
Sure. The negativity bias is a cognitive bias, which is a mental shortcut that humans use. And I want to be clear that when I say the word bias, sometimes people think I'm talking about an individual bias, but in the sense of neuroscience, which is what we're talking about here, cognitive biases are mental shortcuts that all humans share. So we all have the same ones. And the negativity bias is one of those cognitive biases. And the negativity bias is the phenomenon that negative experiences have greater impact on our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors than positive experiences do, even if they're equally emotional. So we are very focused on avoiding negative, and we're actually more motivated by avoiding negative than we are about gaining positive. If you think about it, it's actually a bit of a survival instinct. So I'm going to ask you to think about way back when in prehistory, when our ancestors still lived in caves.
Okay.
And we're going to imagine a little cave boy. We'll call him Grog, all right? Grog hears a rustling over in the bushes, and he thinks, I wonder what might be back there. And he wanders over to see what might be behind the bushes. And suddenly, rah, it was a dinosaur, and Grog is dead. Now, if you think about little cave girl, we'll call her Lucy. Lucy hears a rustling over in the bushes, but instead of thinking, I might go over, Lucy instead thinks, I think that might be danger, and Lucy runs away.
Right.
So Lucy is the one who survived, and Lucy is the one whose genes we have all inherited. So we have inherited the gene of the people who ran away from any uncertainty or any unknown. So the negativity bias comes up for us in assuming that uncertainty or unknown is danger, and we try to avoid it. So the result of that is we often say things like, yes, but, when we hear a new idea, even when we think we've asked for new ideas, because we're looking for the danger, the uncertainty in that idea so we can avoid it.
It's incredible when you put it in those terms. And thank you, share our thanks with Lucy for demonstrating how that really appropriately, it might be really easy at this point, and maybe this is the negative bias, thinking, well, we're hardwired. What can we do about it? And why should we even try?
Right. Well, the good news is there is something we can do about it. And we have to sort of retrain our brains. In other words, we have to kind of get a little bit more comfortable with going over to the bushes, which is not instinctive for us. Like, what might be back there? And there are very specific steps you can take to do this. And I have a kind of a 3-step methodology that will help you do that.
Well, let's head in that direction. We've got about 2 minutes left.
All right. So the 3 steps, I call this great problem solving, or for short, I call it GPS. But it doesn't stand for Global Positioning System. It stands for great problem solving. So what you do is when you first hear an idea, instead of saying yes, but, you have to train yourself to turn off that yes, but, which is subconscious. You have to consciously turn it off and instead list what's potentially great about the idea. So make a list of things that are potentially good, knowing the idea is not finished and you're still going to have a moment to work on the problems, but first, what's good? All right, that's step 1, great.
Okay.
Step 2, P problem, is acknowledge now the problems, but with one very important difference from how the way we typically do it is, and that is to articulate that problem in the form of a how-to question. So instead of saying, it takes too long, instead you say, how can I do it in the time I have? So that's step 2, you identify the problems, but in the form of a how-to question. And then step 3, solution, S solution, is you now solve for the problems that you identify by changing the original idea, but keeping something about it that was great. So I'll just repeat those quickly. G is great. What's good? P is problem. What are the problems, but stated as a how-to question. And S is solutions for those problems that you come up with by changing the original idea, but keeping something about it that was great.
Taking a step like this, while you make it sound particularly approachable and almost easy, right? That we can just go in and do this, but this is a lifetime of learning. Is there a great way to apply this as kind of can we wade into the water on using GPS in situations?
The easiest way to start is to simply start changing problem statements into questions. If you don't want to sort of do all the rest, just simply, instead of saying it costs too much, say instead, how can we make it more affordable? Will turn on problem solving in your brain. It literally almost flips a switch, turns off rejection, turns on problem solving. So that's really the first step.
I can handle that one. We're going to take it off in bite-sized pieces, how we will do this. Right?
Exactly. Yes.
Susan, thank you so much. Such great insights. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Great talking with you. And we'll be sure to include information on our website so you can learn more about Susan Robertson and overcoming the negativity bias. That'll be on WTBR.com/VTM.